Hey guys, I know it's been a long time since I've been on this channel. I've had a lot of stuff going on, some of which is what I'm going to be talking about in this update video, and some just other stuff, some other life stuff, trying to figure out. Bring it up here. I don't want to bend over and get it. Come on. But I'm going to be, hopefully, the plan is, of course, be posting some puppy videos in the upcoming months and weeks and stuff. And I need to I need to address the elephant in the room, which is, where is Kenobi? My last service dog. Because I don't have him anymore. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make in my life so far, and I hope I never do it again. I'm gonna try to answer the questions that maybe you guys might have, but I'm gonna try to stay very surface level because honestly a lot of it's very personal. And I'm really done crying. It's starting to affect my daughter pretty well, or pretty badly, seeing me in that state. So I'm trying to look up and look forward to a new puppy, but I do want to address kind of what happened for those that have actually been following my channel, and him going to be seeing in a pretty short time that I now have a different puppy. One thing just to note is the washout level, or percentage of a self-trained dog, or even a service dog in general, even from a well put together organization and breeding program, you're still going to get a huge washout rate with service dogs. That's just, it really does take a special dog to be a service dog. And not all dogs are going to be perfect, and some flaws you can work with depending on your lifestyle. Elsa is my border collie. She is, for most service dogs, she's a little skittish to be a service dog, but with my lifestyle, I've been able to it not really affect her work. She's still a very good stable dog and able to work in the environments that I need her to, and she does her job well. Unfortunately for Kenobi, his one flaw was not compatible at all with service work, and I really tried. I'm gonna ask that, I'm sure people will be well-meaning, put training advice in the comments. I really don't want to hear it. Not to be, super rude, but I can't do anything about it at this point. There's always hindsight, there's always second guessing. I've done a lot of second guessing, all this stuff like, well, maybe if I did this, maybe I did that. I've been doing that for the last year at least, trying to solve this last little thing. And the last 6 to 8 months, it's just progressively gotten worse. And the final straw was when I really did fear him. And at that point, and that's probably what hurt the most, is I know as a trainer of almost 15 years now, you cannot help a dog that you are angry with, that you are fearful of, or that you just feel overly sorry for. You cannot help a dog when your emotions are getting in the way like that. So that was something that really hurt, but yeah. So basically, Kenobi always was a little fearful of other dogs. I thought I worked through it since he was a puppy. I thought we worked through it. I thought he was good. I thought I stood up for him and that he was able to feel safe with me. As he matured, he kind of got that, well, I'm gonna, hurt them before they hurt me a little bit. It was always also a little bit of overexcitement. It was a little bit, fear, overexcitement. I don't know if I'd ever say aggression, but reactivity for sure. And if you don't know the difference between reactivity and aggression, reactivity is really just a reactive, being reactive in some form to something. That's reactivity. You're reacting to something, usually in a negative light. Doesn't necessarily mean aggression. But another thing that if you rewatch some of my puppy videos, he had a really big GI issue, very bad stomach problems. It took me a lot of time trying to figure out what to feed him, how to get weight on him, and I think that played a part in behavior. I think when you look into it, pain and stuff like that plays a part in behavior, and I think that's why he wasn't that reactive when he was younger. And when he got older and I finally figured out the food stuff and he felt good, I think he kind of reacted how he normally would react, for lack of a better word. I'm sure I'm messing that up. But I've gone through the cycles of blaming myself of what if I did this, what if I did that, and to a degree it's kind of crying over spilt milk, and it doesn't really help anybody. And there's a possibility that's just how he is. There's also a possibility that someone else can fix him. But he's a fantastic dog, and he'll have a great life with someone else. It really hurts for me to say that, but and I said I wasn't going to cry. So yeah, basically, I was trying to work on his reactivity, and I would have the normal setbacks that you would have when you're working something like that, and I knew that, so I wasn't paying attention to those too much. I worked with other trainers. I worked different systems to try to see what communicated best with him. I had a really hard time pinning down what was the core of the issue. I usually read dogs really well. He was really, really hard for me to read. And it became unpredictable. Sometimes he would react, sometimes he wouldn't. And like I said, in the last probably 8 months, it had, right around the time I really figured out how to do his food, it just substantially got worse. And I had other life stuff going on that totally could have added to it. We moved. I had a child, and in a different life, I would have worked with him longer. I probably would have pulled him from service work and worked him for longer and see if I could reverse the issue. But in my current situation, that just, and where I am in life, that's just not an option for me. And it really hurts, but yeah, he left and he took part of my heart, for sure. Goodness. But I've worked dogs through reactivity. Elsa had a little reactivity for a while. For a couple months, I pulled her from service work and we worked through it. So it's not my specialty to work with reactive dogs. are problem-solving dogs. As a dog trainer, I really am more the trick trainer, service dog kind of task training kind of thing is my specialty in training, and basic obedience, stuff like that, of course. But I'm not, you know, I have a general idea of what I'm doing, and I've definitely learned a lot working with him, for where I got him too. But the big curveball that he threw me that Elsa did not have was he redirected, and he would redirect on me if I wasn't very careful on how I did my corrections or how I disengaged him. I got tagged several times in the leg, and to be honest, I didn't tell very many people about it. The few trainers I was working with, I would tell them, obviously, so that they could help me. But a lot of it was shame of, I think I should be able to fix this. But it kind of just got to the point where I was afraid of him, and I couldn't have that possibility around my daughter now that she's trying to move. She's almost 5 months, and she's rolling over and stuff like that, and I just cannot have that possibility in a couple months of her being able to move. And like I said, the final straw was when I couldn't trust him anymore. I was fearing him, and I know I cannot help a dog that I'm fearing. So there's no point of me even trying, because it's just going to be worse for both of us. So I called his breeder, and no shame on his breeder, like, it happens, especially with those dogs. Sometimes just something snapped, and it felt like something snapped. But I don't know, like, and I try not to, like, I spent 2 weeks trying my brains out, and I had my first night terror, which, oh my gosh, if anyone has night terrors, like, I didn't even know what it was, and my husband's like, no, that sounds like a night terror, and I'm like, I hope I never have one of those again, ever. So I suffer for night terrors. Oh my gosh, those are scary. And I thought about for a while, like, not doing another dog, because a part of me didn't trust myself training another dog, and I definitely this time around will be working with a lot more trainers. But also, I was a little exuberant, I guess you could say. Malinois really don't make good service dogs, and the more I learn, I always think I'm the exception, right? I'm not the exception. And I got temperament tested. I got a really good one. Like, he was perfect in every other way except for this reactivity. And the reality is he just wasn't cut out to do the really stressful point of service dog. And it ultimately looked like he really didn't even fit my lifestyle. I purposely got a dog at the time I did. I purposely got him at the time I did, and I was on the wait list for, I think, a year before I got him. And I got him from a really good breeder, and like I said, I don't blame the breeder at all. He is a fantastic dog. But I think my life changed a little bit more than I was anticipating. And I guess that's my fault. I didn't, but I don't know. I don't know if you could always anticipate what your life is going to be like in a couple of years. You can try. I looked at it, I got the dog when I did, so that he was fully trained by the time my daughter came in the picture. And that part worked pretty well, except we were still working on their activity, and I don't know if it's the added stress, definitely I'm not going to say that's not a factor. But I think my life just has changed. My disability's gotten a little worse. I'm not as active as I once was. And having him showed me that. And, they always say Malinois are like the Swiss Army knives of the dog world. That's kind of one of the sayings they have. And so they can do all these things. And it is true, they can do a whole bunch of different things. Like whatever they set their mind to. But I really think after working with him, and researching and all that, I really think Malinois are happy doing one thing and being really, really, really good at it. And I wanted to kind of do all these things. I like a versatile dog, which I thought would make it a really good match to get a Malinois. Excuse me. But I think it kind of really just added to his stress that, one day we would be fishing and one day we go kayaking, and that's a whole different set of rules there than it is to go to the park and play fetch or go on a hike, or now we're working and you need to be calm and not run around. And I think all these different sets of rules for all these different activities that I wanted to do kind of stressed him out. And so that's why I really think they want to do one thing and one thing that requires energy too, because they have the energy and they need to use the energy. So the more I look into it, originally when I got Elsa, I thought, oh yeah, as long as you see the parents and they're decently nice, the pup will be good. You can shape whatever the heck you want with the pup. And the more and more I get older and the more research I do, the more and more genetics really plays a huge role. And every time I think, yes, this is what genetics are, this is what the cause and effects, and I learn something new, and it's just more and more and more. So I hope somebody can, I guess, learn from this, take away that if you want a service dog, really your best bets are going to be Goldens and Labs. There's a reason why we keep using that. Can you get other dogs? Yes. But the thing is, if you need a service dog, you need the best chance you get, because that dog is there to save your life. It's not a fashion statement. It's not this, not that. I never thought I'd get a Golden. I don't really like floppy ear dogs. I used to not like fluffy dogs. Now I really like the idea of having a fluffy dog. But the reality is you have to look at be super realistic on what your life is actually, not what you hope it to be, but is actually, and what you want the dog to do. And genetically programmed, a retriever is what you want a service dog to be. And you look at the genetics of a dog and what they were bred for, and you think you can tune that to what you want. Like when I got Elsa, I'm like, oh yes, border collies, you can tune that watching behavior they want to watch to focus on you, and they'll have rock star focus on you when you're out. That's not exactly how the genetics of a border collie play out. Border collies like to range from their handler. They're not super cuddle bugs. I've seen some that are more cuddle bugs. Mine is not. She will go follow me around the house, but be in the corner of the room watching me, as if, like watching sheep, right, from a high place or something like that. And they like to people watch. So that focus, that watching behavior, putting it on you, not gonna happen. They will watch other stuff while they listen to you, because they are very good at that. They're very quick. They're very fun dogs for that. You can control them and move them. They're bred to be miles off from the handler and take very quick whistle commands to make huge movements. And they're really good thinking dogs. But, looking at the genetics, there's a reason why retrievers retrievers are so good at being service dogs, and probably one of the highest rates of being a service dog is a golden retriever or a Labrador retriever. It's because they're literally bred to be chill, right? They need to sit by the handler's side, to wait under distraction of, gunfire, pow pow, or poo poo, whatever you call it on YouTube, so we don't get banned. So loud noise, and to be chill under that, controlled, and then when they say, fetch the bird, that they then go and do the task, that's required of them. So that translates the best to service work. You need to be chill, you need to be under control, you need to be with me, and then when the cue goes to do the task, genetically retrieving the bird for a service dog, it could be, whatever, guiding, retrieval medicine, medical alert, then I need you to snap into action, do it. So there is no doubt in my mind that's why. And Malinois are supposed to be pretty much always on, and they're supposed to do everything the best and with the most intensity. And yes, they're amazing, flashy, fun dogs. Like I said, if it was another part of my life, I probably could still keep him. He would not have fun as a pet, for sure. And the biggest thing is he had the redirection problem, and I can't. I'm not in a place in my life where that's safe for my daughter, where I can work with that. And I have to be realistic about it. And I know I make the right decision as much as it hurts. And again, I'm trying to say very so matter of fact, because I cannot start crying again. Cannot. But that's kind of what happened. Word of caution, Malinois don't make good service dogs. And I thought I had the unicorn dog, and I didn't. And for those that have to wash out a dog, because it isn't good for service work, and maybe that means you have to rehome it, maybe you can still keep them as a pet, I feel you. It really hurts. I think it needs to be known as that is a reality. That's kind of and I've heard that, kind of the taboo, like, oh, don't say it too loudly. But yeah, we know that the washout rates for a service dog are really high for owner trained, especially if it's not your first. He was my third, to a degree, and yeah, I pretty much have a 50% washout rate, the normal washout rate, depending on how you look at it. So my first dog, Zoe, was my first service dog. She kind of washed out because she could not walk on shiny floors. And she was older because I got her as a pet, and I kept her as a pet afterwards. But I didn't intend for her to be a service dog. I kind of discovered service dogs. I trained her to be it. She kind of was a natural alerter. She was great in all circumstances except for on shiny floors. She could not focus on shiny floors, which is 90% of stores. So it's like she was a great at-home service dog after that. And that's fine. I think 90% of dogs will be great at-home service dogs, because the hard part about training a service dog is public access. Really, that is. Task training is just fun trick training, and pretty much any dog can do that. It's dogs that can be able to handle the stress of being out in public, and Kenobi could not handle dogs popping out of nowhere, could not handle dogs, lunging at him. Ill-behaved dogs, which is going to happen, as much as we want to say, just fight for not having fake service dogs out and whatnot. It's gonna happen, and you're gonna do the best to defend your dog. That's why Elsa got a little reactive for a small portion of her life, is because she got lunged at to the point of basically being bit like 3 times. And that kind of scared her, and we had to go back in training and work with her, and I had to show her that I am going to back you up. You don't have to worry about it. And that's all she needed to know. Kenobi is a very much bigger dog. And he, big mountain wob, and he's a boy, so he's like, I'm going to defend my owner, I think, was a little bit of it. And I think, honestly, to a point of it, he liked reacting. He liked kind of blowing up. He liked barking. Because just the breed he is. It was kind of that genetic fulfillment in, like, the worst way possible. So, yeah, I don't recommend, at this point, anything other than a golden retriever or Labrador. And I think a lot of trainers you see are coming out and saying that, because that is the reality. And I know a lot of people don't want to see it, hear that. They're like, oh, I like this dog or this breed. And hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like my more wolf-like looking breeds. I like the pointy ears. I like, that kind of, like how Elsa is. She's not a show coat border collie that have like the little tapped ears. She's full pointed, and she's like working line and everything. And like, I hear you. I love those dogs. Those are awesome. But you have to be realistic with the dog that fits your family and fits your needs. And when we're talking about service dogs, that's a very specific kind of dog. And I also need a family dog. And I know lots of Malinois are family dogs. More guarded in their own way, I guess. Because, Goldens are family dogs. Labs are family dogs. Pit Bulls are family dogs. Every dog can be a family dog in a certain kind of way. Malinois, I always knew he was going to be maybe a little bit more guarded with his pack. A little bit more stranger danger. And I accepted that, and I never let it go too far in any way. And he was fine with people. As long as I gave him the okay. Because he would be like, oh, stranger. He'd like look at him, and I'm like, no, it's fine. He's like, okay. And he'd go say hi. He loved getting pets. It was the best dog. Except for he didn't like other dogs. And that's just an unpredictable factor when you're working a service dog, is you're going to run into other dogs. And they're going to pop out of nowhere. And you don't know what the behavior of them are. Good 70% of the time, the dogs you're going to run into working your service dog are going to be the yappy little purse dogs that are barking and lunging at your dog. And so you need a dog that is not going to react back. Because one, the bigger dog's always going to get blamed. Two, that they're not typically going to hurt your dog, and you can defend from them. I definitely am going to be even more guarded. I was guarded with him, and maybe that made it worse. I don't know. I'm like trying to go back and think as much as I can without getting super upset and looking at facts and noting what I'm going to do with my next dog, because you learn everything. So much every dog you have. I learned with Zoe, my first dog. Elsa's my second. He was my third. And this golden will be my fourth. And you're going to learn with every single dog you have, whether that's pet or a service dog. And yeah, I know I'm saying and a ton. I'm trying to stay pretty matter-of-fact surface level, because I don't want to start crying. And this video is like 30 minutes long, so I guess I could end it here. I think I've said everything I want to say. I guess just please be respectful. It's hard, and I'm with you if you've had to do it. I don't know. I don't have words. I've had a really hard time with it, and I'm just hoping that, this gold, I'm looking forward. The more I look into Goldens, the more I'm seeing different things that I really liked about Kenobi. Little things he would do seemed to be a golden trait that I really loved. So I never thought I would like a golden, even though I loved Goldens growing up to a degree, because I grew up with Air Bud and all those other movies were Goldens. So I'm like, oh yes, that's what I want. But I wasn't a big on the grooming for a while, and now I'm like, I would actually like to take time and groom a dog now. I actually looking forward to grooming the golden, my little golden girl. And I'm also going back to girls. I've had success with girls. So far, Kenobi was my first boy, and I don't know if that's a factor in it, that you have to treat him a little differently or what. But yeah, so I just want to come on and say that's kind of what happened with Kenobi. It hurts. I really need to look up and move forward though. I've grieved for a little bit. Maybe later I can come back and grieve some more for him. Even though he's not dead, he's still not with me. But I need to move on for my daughter at least, because she is getting affected by how sad I am. She can tell, you know. And so I need to move on for that. And for myself, like I said, I was contemplating not even getting another dog for a little bit. My husband's like, no. Like, I've seen you with a dog and I've seen you without. Goodness. See, now I'm just gonna get wrapped up again. So anyway, so that's kind of what happened. So you guys know, hope you can learn some of the lessons there that I've learned painfully. And I hope you look forward to new puppy videos, because that's not what I was hoping to do with a newborn, is raise a puppy. But I know some people have done it, and I am in for the journey. So that's the next part of my life, and I look forward to it. I know it's going to be difficult, but we're going to celebrate the wins, and we're going to have fun, and hopefully make some good content of puppy raising, because that is a lot of work, a lot of work to do. And I'm probably going to do it under some pretty hard circumstances here, but I think it's the best decision. I'm going to consult with a lot of other people, and to make sure that I don't screw up this puppy, which I know a lot of people are saying, you're not going to screw this puppy up, you got the right dog this time. So we will see. But yes, we're going to be positive, we're going to hold our head up high, and we're going to move on, because life moves on, and you can't be sad forever. So, well, thank you for listening, if you've made it to the end of this video. And go ahead and give a thumbs up if you look forward to some puppy videos. And I will see you later. Bye!